The reason that totalitarianism is total is because everyone in a totalitarian state lies about absolutely everything all the time to everyone. To themselves, to their wife or husband, to their children, to the other members of their family, to their friends, to their colleagues. It's the old Russian joke. They pretend to pay us, and we pretend to work. Every time you lie, this is the truth of the matter. Every time you lie, you've just allowed yourself to become possessed by the same tyrannical spirit that's at the core of the totalitarian state. And you might think, no, I'm lying. It's like, no, the spirit of the lie is making itself manifest.
High school teacher here in Christchurch. What are the best ways in which I can stand up against woke ideology without being cancelled?
Yeah, by the time you find yourself in a situation like that, where that question becomes particularly germane, you probably already made 1,000 mistakes. So, one of the things I observed at the University of Toronto when I worked there is I could see this woke nonsense emerging over decades. I really started to see it when I was at McGill University in the 90s. The encroachment of ethics committees on the research enterprise. I went to Harvard after I was at McGill, and it was pretty under control there in the 90s when I was there. The psychology department there the people there were pretty damn tough. And then I went to the University of Toronto, and it wasn't the same caliber as Harvard. And unsurprisingly, because Harvard's a very high caliber university. And then I would observe my faculty colleagues retreating. So the administration, which has ballooned out of control over the last 30 years in universities, just incrementally move forward with increasingly intrusive demands. Each demand being a rather small demand, but the sum total of all the demands was not small. I watched my colleagues take micro-retreat 5,000 times. And then by the end of that, they were in a situation where they had to ask a question like, well, what do we do to not be cancelled by the woke mob? And the answer was, don't let the woke mob form. I know perfectly well what the consequence of not saying what you have to say is, because I studied totalitarianism for 40 years. And in a totalitarian state, no one ever says what they have to say. We have this theory about totalitarianism. It's sort of the theory we have about Putin right now. It's like there's a lot of innocent Russians, and there's Putin. He's the tyrant, and all these innocent Russians are victims of the tyrant, and that's a totalitarian state. And there's some truth in that, because power structures get extraordinarily warped and punitive in totalitarian states, but it's a completely preposterous model of totalitarianism. The reason that totalitarianism is total is because everyone in a totalitarian state lies about absolutely everything all the time to everyone. To themselves, to their wife or husband, to their children, to the other members of their family, to their friends, to their colleagues. It's the old Russian joke. They pretend to pay us, and we pretend to work. Yeah, ha ha. Ha ha, till everyone starves. Very funny. And you think, well, does everybody really lie all the time in a totalitarian state? If you ask that question, the first proper response to that is, you wouldn't ask that question if you knew anything at all about what you were talking about. Totalitarian state is a state that's in the grip of the lie. And so what that means for each of us is that every time you lie, this is the truth of the matter. Every time you lie, you've just allowed yourself to become possessed by the same tyrannical spirit that's at the core of the totalitarian state. And you might think, no, I'm lying. It's like, no, the spirit of the lie is making itself manifest within you.
Ain't it the truth? That is very well put. And we see it every day, consistently, having to hold our tongues for fear that we might lose our livelihood, our friends, our family. And it's definitely a challenging thing because no one wants to be the example. That's why it's important that everyone speaks. That's why it's important that everyone supports other people speaking out.
And you might think, no, I'm lying. It's like, no, the spirit of the lie is making itself manifest within you, and you are participating in your own possession. That's what's happening. And so I'm way more afraid of that than I am of the consequences of saying what I have to say.
Anyways, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment if you agree or disagree. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.